Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney and estate planning attorney Brian D. Lerner. I've done a few summation videos recently on estate planning. So if you are an immigrant, have gotten your green card, have gotten citizenship, it's now time to think about protecting your family and your wishes and doing estate planning. So in this particular video, I'm going to concentrate on what is a codicil and why you need to know what a codicil is if you're going to, for example, change your will. Now, when you make your last will and testament, that's what it is, okay? It is your last will and testament, and unlike a revocable trust that you can use amendments to change whenever you want, it's a little bit different with a will. A change to a will be referred to as a codicil. That's what it is. Whether you're deleting a paragraph of a will, adding a paragraph, or changing certain parts of the will, it is the codicil mechanism that you use in order to make that happen. Now, essentially, a codicil is a testamentary document that supplements, amends, qualifies, or republishes a prior testamentary document. So this means that if something's unclear, it could clear it up if there's ambiguities, because sometimes you'll make the will and think everything's crystal clear, and then you or someone else starts looking at it or asking questions, and you see that there is ambiguity, so that can be done with a codicil. Or perhaps you no longer have property or no longer want property to go a certain way, and that can be done through a codicil. Or you get new property, or perhaps you have a guardian specified in the will, and you want to change that, delete that, or do whatever. You can do that through a codicil also. The codicil itself must be done properly in order to be effective. If the codicil is made but is not legally done under the code, then chances are likely it will not be effective. Your wishes will not be followed, and the whole purpose of doing the codicil will not be met. So another reason you want to make sure you have an estate planning attorney help prepare the codicil and make sure that it is valid and enforceable, while you're still alive, obviously, so that when you do pass on, your wishes will be followed. Because that's really what estate planning is to it's really twofold. One, to make sure your wishes are followed, and two, to devise your assets and property to where you want it to go to protect your spouse and your family. So, just so you know, a codicil does not need to be executed in the same way as the will in which it modifies. So, for example, you could make a holographic codicil, which is just writing by your hand, and that can be made to a witnessed will. Or, for example, you could do a witnessed codicil to a holographic will, as long as each one is in its own right proper, legal, and done in a manner that it's enforceable. Should it ever be brought to court, or should there ever be a will contest? Because unfortunately, what happens is if it is not done properly, it's not clear. Then what's going to happen is you're going to get once you pass on, the probate court will be brought in. There'll be will contests. Thousands and thousands of dollars will be spent. There'll be animosity among the family members. It goes on and on. So if you make, for example, a codicil that amends or adds or changes something, you want to make it crystal clear, which is, again, a reason to make sure you have an estate planning attorney. Because where you might think it's crystal clear by writing 6 words out, in fact that might have tons of ambiguities. And perhaps the attorney would write that same codicil with your intentions, maybe in 3 paragraphs or 2 paragraphs, just to make sure that all the ambiguities are taken out. So the wishes of the codicil if it's done properly, will survive when you pass on, and will do what is needed. There's no limitation on the amount of codicils, although it does get somewhat confusing if you have a last will and testament and then 13 different codicils. But if you do that, you want to make clear and make sure your attorney does this, that when you're referencing the codicil and the will, you'll say something to the effect that I, the name, whatever your name is, a resident of whatever county, declare that this is your first codicil to your will of, and then put the date when your will was made, which is clearly in your will. So or the next one will be, this is the second codicil to my will of whatever, and you'll say clearly what you're doing. You could say you're revoking paragraph 2, and you're adding the following provisions in paragraph 6A, and you could say at the end that in all other respects your will remains unchanged. Either way, make sure that you do what's necessary to have it done right and to get the codicil properly executed. If you enjoyed the video, click like and subscribe, and you can email me whenever you like. You get a free consultation. I set it up through my firm has an auto scheduler through Skype, telephone, in person. If you are in the LA area or in the South Bay, Long Beach area, you need to come in person for the consultation. Otherwise, I'll take telephonic and Skype. I can call anywhere, so it's no problem. Okay, more on the coming videos.